something we stumbled into last year, maybe 2 years ago. It's something I love to think about. And it gets a little tricky because there's guys on every team with 3.5 weeks. You can change a chunk of your season. There's a lot of guys that can't. There's a lot of guys that, you know what? Aaron Judge is going to have a really good year. I thought about throwing him in here. And like if he hits 62, that would be a changing season for him. But there's some guys, and you can let us know. Sound off in the comments, as my guy Trev lets you know. You know, there's some magic numbers in baseball that are kind of changing. It used to be like 300. If you were a 300 hitter, you're a ball player. That's kind of gone. I think the new
still there.
The new 300, I think, is like kind of an 800 OPS. Like that's a measure that you had a really good year. No one can argue with you if you're an 800 OPS guy. Also, some of the ERAs. I still value ERA. I think a lot of people still value ERA with some of the advanced pitching staff.
I'm starting to not.
Jimmy's coming away from it.
After watching some of the defense this season
right?
that we've seen.
Fielding independent pitch.
Defense,
Zach
one
Wheeler.
bad start.
And I don't really like FIP. I'm starting to change my mind, which I was somewhat firm on earlier, but some of the scorekeepers are ruining it for me.
It's been a weird year on scorekeep.
Scorekeepers are now giving errors or hits based on exit velo or something, and it's just off.
Scorekeepers, beekeepers. Check out the Weekly Dumb this week. I've got a couple zoomed out guys, and then we'll zoom in a little further. I think one thing we should know, and the guy that ruined BBD's AL Rookie of the Year bet, and this is just something that I think if Judge wasn't being Judge and Pujols wasn't being Pujols would be talked about more. My main man, Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod, he's going for 30-30, boys, as a rookie, and he missed games. So I know the good people of Seattle know. I know you're not letting those Vancouver Cougars into your stadium during that Toronto series. But 30-30 is no joke. He's got 25 homers and he's got 24 stolen bases. And those all happened in 123 games because remember, he missed time from the hand thing. So 3.5 weeks, 5 home runs, a couple big days, and that's such a special season, especially from a rookie that, again, if the big fella wasn't doing his thing, I think we'd be talking about Julio even more than we already do.
I like Julio a lot. 30-30 as a rookie is incredible. And I have to eat a little bit of crow because I believe I talked about the rookies in this class and I said there's some good ones. I said the one I think that I'm most sure about is Bobby Witt Jr. And someone asked me over Julio. I said, I think so. Julio is the real deal. Bobby Witt Jr. having a great year. Shoot, he's got 20 homers and 27 bags. A couple good runs away from being a 30-30 guy during the season. But Julio seems to be he's a star, man. He's a star. And he doesn't stop. Like, when he gets hot, it just keeps going and going and going. And he loves the moment. Can't wait to see him in the postseason, dude.
In the last 10 years, here are the guys to go 30-30. Jose Ramirez, Mookie Betts, Ronald Acuna Jr., Yelich in 2019. Yep. How about that? And Cedric Mullins landed right on the nose for 30-30 last year, which is, I always forget how cool that is for him. But yeah, I mean, when there's only 6 guys who have done that in baseball, 5 in the last decade, and you're a rookie, and you're the new face of the franchise, love myself some Julio. So that's just something to watch on the outset. So I also wanted to look at some free agents because that changes a couple things. Not only does it change your season, it can change your bankroll. It can change whatever's in your basement. The first guy I want to go is Dansby. We've talked about Dansby a lot this year. He's had a great year. He had a really slow start just for the first couple weeks, but then he's gone. His OPS is at 781. The year before, he was 760. The year before that, he was 809. So he's smack dab in between his previous 2 seasons. And Dansby's already doing well. Like, he's got 5 WAR. He plays really good defense. He's a shortstop hitting free agency at age 28. He's going to do well. If Dansby could crank for the last couple weeks and get to that 800 OPS, I think you might add a year to the contract, which is just crazy. Which is just crazy in the scope of baseball that the next 3.5 weeks can affect, another $20 million season for Dansby, especially in this Mets playoff race. I'm circling Dansby the rest of the way.
They will sign an extension day before the postseason.
You think so?
It's the Braves.
Okay.
They'll just go all up there, hypnotist, lock them up.
Mental coach.
Correa will be fucked.
Interesting. I'm curious about the whole Correa situation. He's a guy that has played himself back into like, hey, this guy's going to get a massive deal. Like, I think no matter what,
he'll get
coming
years,
off of this year,
but I don't think he's going to get the numbers.
He might not get the numbers, but like opting back into that for another one, like almost seemed like a possibility at some
What's
point,
year
but
2
now
at?
I don't think so.
What's year 2 at? 30 mil again with the Twins?
Yeah. I think it's the same, like 31.5 or something like that. Then he has the option again to come out. Like if he just wants to keep platforming himself, if he had a really bad year this year, then he could do that. But I don't think he's
going to get a 10-year deal. I mean, he might get 8 years, but I don't think he's going to get 30 mil per year.
35.1 next year.
He might opt in, man.
It's interesting.
I think he's gotten hot enough where I don't know if he needs to.
But no one signed him long-term last year. And all the rumors we heard was no one likes the way his back looks. No one wants to give him long-term.
I wonder when that day is that he has to opt in, because that puts a time limit on negotiations. And
yeah,
interesting. I think he's done enough where he'll probably just go and try to secure the biggest bag now. You don't want to keep going and delaying it another year.
You just want to get the rest of your career locked up.
Yeah,
no matter what it is, it's going to be higher than the rest of his Twins contract.
Can I give a guy?
Yeah, I wonder if he could even, if he chose to go to free agency, he could probably get 35-1 for 1 year from another team if he really wanted it, unless he doesn't get the offer he wants. I don't circle that Correa. Who do you have, Trev?
A guy we talk about all the time. I'm wearing his colors right now. It's Christian Yelich.
Okay.
Now, for a couple different reasons. Right now, Milwaukee's on the outside looking in. They sit 2 games back of San Diego, but as we said, Padres got the tiebreaker on them. So they're actually 3 games back of the Padres. Yelich has been, I mean, I'm sure he'd say the same thing. Pretty mid this year. He's got a 2.6 WAR. He's got 755 OPS. Like, decent season. That's not a Yelich season. Not who he believes he could be. Not who most of us believe he can be. If he turns it on here, the end of the year, puts Milwaukee into the postseason. He really just needs to slug a little bit more. Like, give me some homers here at the end of the year, Yelich. Then, like you said, maybe you get to the that elusive 8 number. Although he already has 500 at bat, so moving that up that much is probably not going to happen unless he goes off on a crazy tear. But I think if he has a pedestrian year for the rest of the way, Brewers don't make the playoffs, I believe Yelich starts to get viewed differently in the baseball scope. I think if he goes off and finishes the year very strong and gets them into the postseason, I think he retains his status as like big bad motherfucking Yelich. And that is on a 3-week schedule right now.
Maybe I can twist you a little bit because he had his first half, especially the first couple months, were slow. He had a 695 OPS. In the second half, he's been an 809 OPS guy, a 388 on base. So I wonder if I could maybe even tweak that to be like, if Yelich can come in next year saying I was a 400 on base guy for half the season, I know the pop isn't there, and I'd love for you to track, kind of watch some Yelich at bats, because you're right. I mean, the only thing that's missing is the pop, which is a big deal if you're Christian Yelich.
Yeah, extra base hits, homers, all of that stuff. But he could turn the narrative. And I think he wants to. I mean, obviously the main thing is getting to the playoffs, but I believe for them to get to the playoffs, he's got to go on a run like this. It can't be Adames and Tellez, bro. Like, we need Yelich in the middle of that lineup, like banging Yelich, a guy that, his career OPS is 846 because he has a career 470 slug. He's slugging below 400 now on the year. So I think, like I said, man, okay, you got 22 games, 23 games left. Give me like 7 homers. If he gets to 20 homers, 8 homers, that's a lot to ask. I'm sorry, but a big run like that can get your numbers looking good, get him into the postseason. I think, like I said, he retains his status in the big leagues. But if he doesn't, he's pedestrian. They don't make the playoffs. I think he might not get the respect necessarily that he's getting right now.
Send him
and
a
I
text.
love you, Yelly.
Give him the Plouffe text.
He did just hit a fucking ball 499 feet. Let's go. Keep doing that, baby.
It's easy.
Very.
Just do that. Couple guys to round it out. 2 pitchers. One guy we love a lot. And these guys are having good seasons no matter what. You couldn't shake them if you wanted. One's got money implications. One's got pride implications. Carlos Rodon. We know he's going to go back to free agency this year. His ERA is sitting at 2.93. His ERA last year was 2.37, and he actually leads the NL in FIP if we're becoming slightly more FIP guys. But if Carlos Rodon, his last starts, he's been not as good as his expectations. 28 starts this year. One of the concerns with him is that his injury history and holding up through the year. He's going to be an interesting one to track. We saw Gabe get in a little spout with his relief pitcher last night. I don't know if we've got beat reporter Trevor Plouffe on that. That looked like a good time. But if I'm Carlos Rodon, I've put in the work to get myself here. I'm sitting at 2.93. I'd want to make sure. I'd love to have that ERA going into free agency with another 2 sitting in front of me.
The 2 means something. 2 means something like an 8 means something on the OPS side.
I'm saying.
Well, 2 is actually higher than an 8.
Okay.
I think if you start your ERA with a 2, that's more like a 8.75 and above.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
And that's where I was going to throw our guy. This is part of the thing we
maybe
stumbled
a 900.
in. This is what we stumbled into yesterday. Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. Tristan McKenzie, our dude, our guy.
Right there.
He's sitting there, an incredible season, and it won't go away. 26 starts, 27 games, a 3.05 ERA. Our guy Tristan, the man, king of cool, hung out with us at spring training for longer than we ever thought a baseball player would want to. 3.05 ERA. Give us some big starts down the stretch. You get that 2.99, that lives forever.
Can the Twins hit curveballs? He might have a game against them. He definitely has a game against them.
Correa.
Well, they were his boogeyman. So he had some really bad starts against them, and then the last start against the Twins, he went 7 shutty, I believe. So he kind of bounced them.
Yeah.
But maybe he's figured something out. But yeah, he's right there, man. Yeah, the 2 at the ERA, that's like a 9 on the OPS.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And the only other name I had written down, which again, people, you can go so many different ways with this, whether it's people chasing 30 homers, whether it's chasing an OPS, whatever it is. I'm sure there's guys on your team that could flip or flop with 3 weeks either way. A guy that I've had circled for a little while now, and a team needs to lock him up as their thick daddy DH for the next 3 to 4 years. Joc Pederson. I know we don't think of him as thick daddy. He's been getting he's got a little meat on the bones now. He's been having an awesome year. He missed that period of time. 267, 348, and 870 OPS. His OPS a couple weeks ago was down in the 820s, which again, like we said, very good year. In August, he was down to 809 at one point, which you're starting to get near those 7s. He's back up to 870. If Joc can finish strong, I don't know if he could get to 9. He'd have to get really hot to wrap up the season. If he can even stay there, we need this guy to be a mainstay somewhere because he's a stud. He's fun. We saw it in the Braves playoff run last year, and he's back to doing what he does. He's absolutely mashing right-handed pitching again to the tune of an 898 OPS against righties. So maybe let's get that OPS against righties over 9. So some team says Joc Pederson is going to be our DH/corner outfielder for 140 games next year.
Get it.
Here's
Joc.
something strange on Joc Pederson. I don't know if I'm reading this the right way. Okay, because I'm only a high school grad. People forget that. Versus lefties, Joc, 693 OPS. Okay?
Right.
But versus a left-handed starter, a 1.025 OPS.
So we fell into this rabbit hole, and it's very disappointing because I looked at those numbers a lot in the last 5 years. I was talking about baseball into a microphone.
Okay.
The way Baseball Reference does those,
Those are in a
it's
game.
any at bat that was started by a lefty, but he could have hit the righty out of the bullpen later on, it would count.
Lefty started that game.
Lefty started that
game.
If the lefty only went one inning and then it was righties the rest of the way and he goes 4 for 4 off those righties, those count towards that stat line. So it's not really.
So play him against lefty starters. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't. Yeah. I mean, as long as he's going to get the reliever at the end, you'd have to really look deeper into what.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
okay.
why
I was curious about that.
That's why on the split page, he's 70 plate appearance against left-handed starters, but only 53 against left-handed pitching.
Yes, I don't know why they do that.
It's a little silly.
He's so relieved that lefty starter gets out of the game. He's
Bam.
like Tater City.
I guess it
Tater
can,
City?
for some guys, it can dictate like what kind of lineup they were part of. I don't know.
I'd like the Triple Crown to be in play. So I'd like Bogarts and Arise to just get, like, the Yankees shouldn't pitch to Bogarts if they want to help Judge out. They should he should just go 0 for 0 with 4 walks both games coming up. Judge is 11. He's 12 points away from contending with Bogarts.
Mow him down.
He's at 307. Bogarts is at 319. Arise at 315. It's a pretty tough gap in 24 games. But it'd be so cool, man. Imagine it means Judge would win every slash line, batting average, on base, slugging, OPS, and runs scored, and runs batted in, and home runs.
And walks, by the way.
And walks.
And still finish second in the MVP. That's crazy. It's insane.
Your co-MVPs.
Oh, gosh.